Okay, so why do you think this conversation is important?
Thanks for the question. I think this conversation is important for at least two reasons. One is that when you think about the American people, we're not held together by religion, we're not held together by ethnicity, we're not even held together by a common language. But what holds Americans together is a common civic tradition, and at the heart of that civic tradition is our Constitution. So exposing students to different perspectives on how to interpret that Constitution allows them to go out into the world in whatever path life takes them to be excellent citizens, to be able to flourish in whatever they're. And second, one of the things that Americans struggle with in our country today is deep polarization. I think the polarization has two causes. One cause is that we lack understanding, many of our young people lack understanding of our common tradition, those things that hold us together. And then second, and this is what's relevant to tonight's excellent event, is they have had a challenge finding role models who are going to engage with people across difference in a civil and thoughtful manner. And so tonight's debate, I think, exemplified both focusing on this common aspect of our tradition about which Americans reasonably disagree, but also at the same time modeling how that disagreement can be productive to both parties in the conversation.
Okay, so why do you think this conversation is important?
I'm going to confess that I already heard Lee answer this question, and I loved his answer. I've got nothing to improve on it. The Constitution is important to our public lives, and there are many debates about it, and many of them are heated. We should understand the Constitution better. People should understand the debates about the Constitution better. And also they should see people arguing and debating, hopefully in a productive, civil, respectful way. And I hope that's what will happen tonight. I fully expect it.
So what do you hope the audience gets out of the debate tonight?
Well, of course, I hope they get a better understanding of the subject matter. I hope they leave thinking, that was interesting. I think I understand things a little better than I did before. And, of course, I hope they come out thinking, yay for organic pluralism, the view I'm peddling. So we'll see how it goes.
Hi, I'm Jacob Kasner. I'm a student at Rice, a senior studying operations research, and a member of the Houston Institute for the past 3 years.
Okay, why do you think this event was important?
Yeah, well, I think we're in an election year, and I think that the Constitution is like a foundational document for Americans in understanding how each of the branches of government work. And so I think that there's a responsibility to really understand it well and also understand how we're using it. And so there are different justices that want to have living constitutionalism or originalism like we heard about tonight. And it was really great to have those perspectives brought onto a campus where students are actively thinking about how they can grow their perspectives and learn more deeply about this really important topic.
So how do you think this event went?
I felt really pleased with the quality of the discourse from each of the speakers. They were really credentialed, and they had great insights into the history of the development of constitutional interpretation for each of their viewpoints, and gave strong examples that I can go back and reference after the talk. So I thought that it was very high quality, very respectful, and that they were able to advance the conversation for people coming from all different various perspectives and being able to build upon it so that everyone can feel that they have more substantial evidence to back their claim and understand the opposite side.
Why do you think the Houston Institute is important?
Houston Institute does a great job of creating space on campus for students to respectfully engage in these deep topics. I think that somewhere along the way we lost this idea that college is a place for intellectuals to come together and make their viewpoints expressed and understand other perspectives and really develop your own philosophy of life. I think Houston Institute does that in a really effective way, both through looking at ancient and developing modern philosophies, as well as through looking at literature and how that has affected human experience. So Houston Institute presents this great forum for students who are interested in looking at life in a deeper way and bringing that forward into the rest of their professional life while they're in this environment with other intellectuals that want to think about it with them.
Hi, I'm Jack. I'm a sophomore from Sid Richardson College at Rice, and I'm studying philosophy and medical humanities.
So why do you think this conversation is important?
From my lived experience, it seems like we're living in a time more divisive than ever and with a decreased trust in institutions. Of course, the way in which we interpret laws has a lot of bearing on the political positions that we uptake. It seems like conversations like these are critical to engage charitably with the opposing side and cultivate hermeneutics of charity in which we're actually trying to understand what each other is saying and trying to make progress on important political issues.
So how do you think the event went tonight?
It was great. I saw a bunch of people who I knew and met a lot of people who I didn't know. Both the speakers were brilliant and engaged charitably with one another. It was clear and easy to follow. And even though, regardless of whether you're familiar with jurisprudence or not, you could tell they strongly disagreed on a lot of important issues. Nonetheless, they did a good job engaging with one another in a respectful manner that modeled how we would want our political climate to operate.
Why do you think Houston Institute is important?
I am now a sophomore. I discovered the Houston Institute the first week of my freshman year, and honestly, my experience at Rice wouldn't be the same without it. I've met a lot of my best friends through the Houston Institute. I've learned a lot. Victor and James, who both run it, have been extremely kind and charitable towards me and provided me support whenever I needed it. And most importantly, I think it models how we want to interact with one another in the world. We're encouraged to ask questions we otherwise wouldn't, and to engage with others even whenever their answers might be things that we intuitively disagree with.
Hi, my name is Ashish Kafle. I'm a fifth-year PhD student in the physics department. I'm originally from Nepal, so this is all very fun and interesting for me here.
So why do you think this conversation is important?
I think it's very important to think about how we think in general, because, for example, conversations like this encourage us to question the way things are done. So, for example, Constitution is one of the fundamental things in our society, and it's very important to understand why and how we are interpreting the Constitution. And it really affects all of our lives, so I think that is exactly why we all should think about these kind of issues and really get to the bottom of what should be the priorities.
So how do you think this event went tonight?
The event was wonderful. Me, as an international student coming from a slightly different culture and also different ways of doing things, I think it was really fascinating to see and hear about all the legal stuff that both of the speakers mentioned, and just trying to understand how you're comparing two different ways of thinking. I think it was really fascinating, and really I learned a lot.
Why do you think the Houston Institute is important?
Houston Institution is great. So I've been going to their reading sessions almost every week, and we cover a lot of different very interesting questions, such as how should we live, or how should the government work, or what kind of questions should we ask to make the society better. And I think these are the questions that's important for all of us to think about. That's why I think Houston Institute is doing really great, because it provides us a platform where we can actively engage in conversation on these topics that are really important.